titanium, one of my favorite materials to machine. Been machining it for like 17 years. A lot of you guys know the story. Went down to Schilling Robotics. They had all of these ROVs, remote operated vehicles. They went to the bottom of the ocean, all of these crazy titanium parts. At that time, I was like machining steel, all different types of stainless, plastic, aluminum, all that. But I just had never got to that level to have customers that wanted to give me titanium. I walked out that day with what they said was almost an impossible part. And they asked me, hey, do you know how to machine titanium? I'm like, I will get it done. And I walked out with this crazy job knowing that my entire future was on the line. If I could actually make this titanium part and make it in such a way that the flatness was perfect with all the pockets, there was no bowing, the O-rings, all perfect. If I could actually make this part, this company would actually fill my shop up with work. Everything was on the line. Went back to my shop 17 years ago and Googled titanium. How do you machine titanium? And at that time, there was no videos, no YouTube, nothing. I was like calling people. I was trying to figure it out. And I spent the next 2 weeks working on this crazy project, some failures, some successes. But at the end of the day, I went back to Schilling Robotics, delivered an incredible part to spec, perfect surface finishes, and that job changed my entire life because the owner looked at the part, inspected the part, took me to the buyer and said, you know what? Give this guy and his company as much work as they can handle. And in an instant, I had quote after quote after quote, and my entire company changed. The type of work that we did, the complexity, the tolerances, all of it changed in a single day. Now, it's been 17 years since that day, and we've made incredible parts, over 3,500 part numbers for Spacex from like 2007 all the way until just a couple years ago when I decided to go full education to teach our trade and lift it all up. When you look at Blue Origin, a lot of people don't know, the BE3 engine, we actually machined 70% of all components on the prototype and for a season made all those parts. And that's why I love this YouTube channel. Because there is a community. You are out there. I get to speak right into this camera and just instill knowledge into you guys. You guys don't have to reinvent the wheel. Instead, look at all the videos, look at the process, keep a book and document everything that you guys see. Speeds, feeds, depths of cuts, surface foot, chip load, all of it. Document it for the different types of materials and bank that information. When we talk about programming, look at the techniques, document it, save videos, and when you have a similar part, you can go back and actually see what we said and what we used for reference. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the support. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, that helps us. By hitting the subscribe button, it allows us to grow our channel, bring awareness to manufacturing, to industry, to our trade. It allows us to do amazing things. So please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, put your comments down below. What else do you want us to machine and talk about? Put it in the comments and we will do it. You can also support us by going to our store, titansofcnctooling.com. We have the best prices on the internet on so many different products, and the money is used to fund free education and bring awareness to our trade. You can go to our academy, and now you can go to CNCEXPERT.com, have a free profile and get free certifications. You can put up your regular work. You can find work, find customers, find vendors, talk to machinists all over the world. And we have new and amazing updates coming to CNC Expert. So if you don't have a profile, no matter who you are in industry, get a profile on CNC Expert so people can contact you. You can contact everybody else, and you can look at amazing work on that platform for machinists, by machinists, boom. All right, back to giving you guys some info. Now, as a machinist, looking at titanium, you know, you got your plastics and different types of plastics and exotic plastics. You got aluminums, and it's not just 6061. You got like 7050, 7075. Each one is a little bit different, right? 661 is annealed and you can just blow right through it. But when you start doing aerospace work and you get into the 7050s, then it's a little bit gummy and you're like having to slow down a little bit, take big cuts, but you just can't approach it the same way. Now, you go into your steels, you go into your stainlesses, and you start elevating up. And then over here, You actually have your super alloys and your hard materials, your A286, your Inconels, your Monels, your hard materials, Hastelloy, all that. Well, titanium sits right here. Probably like on the whole range of everything I've ever machined, it falls right at about 60% on the range. And if you guys want to know about the characteristics, you want to know about the ingredients, you can actually go to our Aerospace Academy, drop down, go to materials, and click on titanium 604V, and there's a video that will teach you all that. For me, I just want to talk to you guys about technique. Now, when machining titanium, there's probably 4 different things that I'll talk about real quick. First is rigidity, all right? You have to have a rigid setup when you're actually machining hard materials. You always need a rigid setup, but especially when you're machining hard materials, you need to make sure that there's no vibration in that work holding. The second would be the technique. How are you approaching that cut? Now, I always talk to people and I say, you know what, back in the day, we would use a corner of the tools, right? And we'd take these cuts and there'd be deflection. But today, the style of cut is different. We actually drop down and actually take a smaller radial, but we take the full Z and we allow the pressure to stretch across the entire end mill. Even when we're coming into the material, we're never coming at a 90. I'll actually come in and I'll actually just taper it straight inside, boom, right into the cut so we can just keep going. So it's a gradual. So it's instead of going here or here or here, you're actually more like here looking at the material that you have and you're actually just gliding in. So you're walking into the beach, into the water. You're not jumping off the dock, right? You guys have heard me say that term right there. So pressure is everything. Tooling is everything. Technique is everything. Get that technique, have the right tool that's nice and rigid, that can make that cut, that's not gonna wear out. A lot of people look at us with the Harvey 3 end mills. We've ran everything. We've ran all types of end mills, but when making Spacex parts and running Inconel, the Harvey 3 is the only tool that lasted hours, up to 7 hours in cut when everything else failed at 20%, 90%. When you look at Boeing uses the Harvey 3s, the Aero Edition. So it's all about that tooling. When it comes to drilling, looking at the Go drills, these Go drills cut absolutely anything from plastic, aluminum, steel, titanium, Inconel, Monel. I've done videos on it. You can basically do anything. Now we have the Go tip that we actually sell on our store at the best prices. And this tip basically is just a little bit of carbide, so it's less expensive. You buy the drill, you pop that on, boom. A lot of inserts are small, pop into the drill, and over time it wears. But the way the Go tip goes, it's like the Ken tip. It actually is a full diameter that basically just pops in, rotates, and locks. It's super quick, super efficient. It's not that much carbide, and it saves you guys money. So when drilling, in our videos, we're always putting the surface foot, the feet per rev, because we're drilling, and we're always giving you that information. And we don't just run one hole. We'll show you a whole bunch of holes, and we'll talk about tool life and how time is money in this trade. A couple questions that came up in my recent Monel video. People were asking, hey Titan, you always use through the spindle coolant, and you just take these cuts all the way down without stopping. And that is absolutely true. Because of the way the drill actually breaks that chip, we're able to do that because of the tooling. Now, somebody asked me about pecking and what if you don't have a coolant through drill? And a lot of times as a programmer, I just use common sense. I take an artistic approach and I just think about the part, I think about the material, I think about the holes, and I think about how deep it is and the coolant and the chips and all of it. When you're cutting Inconel and Monel and A286 and even titanium, you're dealing with hard chips. And if your tool hits the hard chips wrong, your tool life's gonna actually suffer. I like to feed in with the high pressure and allow the chips just to evacuate, just keeping that coolant, that liquid tool, flushing at 1,000 PSI. And if my hole is really deep, a lot of times I'll go in and I'll actually change the program by hand. And instead of doing a little chip break like a 73, I'll take more control over it. I'll actually come down and then I'll just retract about 10 thousandths, boom. I'll put in a quick little dwell and I don't allow space for chips, but I allow the coolant to work. And then I just go again, another inch, 2 inches, ½ inch, depending on the process. And I'll actually just retract like 5/10 thousandths. I'll do a little dwell, I'll let it flush, and I'll just keep going. So depending on the material, depending on how your chips are breaking, depending on all of it, as a programmer, you just gotta like figure it out. And that's what separates great programmers from other programmers. That's what separates people that make great money in this trade and those that don't make great money in the trade, is your ability to outthink the competition and figure out how to make parts run as efficiently as possible. Now, if you didn't have coolant, my advice would be take smaller pecks. So if you had a go drill without coolant through holes, I would make sure that my coolant level is at least 10 to 12%, so you got that lubricity. If we're running aluminum, we're probably at 7%, but super alloys, titanium, hard steels, let's keep it about 10 to 12%. The variables, right? I'll actually come in and take small cuts. I'll come all the way out, but instead of rapiding back in and maybe hitting a chip that didn't get evacuated because you're too deep in, I'll actually feed. So if I'm at like 4 inches a minute or 6 inches a minute coming down with a nice drill, I'll actually feed at maybe like 20 or 30 where it's still going, but if you hit a chip, it'll actually just rotate on the drill and not break the drill or cause damage to the tip. And then I'll come down right before the bottom surface, and then I'll just start feeding at my regular feed. I'll do that, boom, boom, boom. A lot of times you can program that in your cam system. Sometimes you just have to do it by hand, boom, boom, boom. You know, sometimes if you have a bunch of holes, I'll like go into the program and then I'll like make this little adjustment, and then I'll just drop it as a sub program, like on an M97 or even an M98. I like M97s a lot because you can actually keep it within the same program, then you can just drop down, boom, boom, boom. Difference between calling a sub as an M97 is that it starts with an N value. M98 actually starts with an O value, which separates the program from your main program. But I'll basically just make that little guy. I'll make my little sub, and then I'll just come up here and I'll just call it incrementally like 10 times out this way or whatever I have to do at the top just to get to position. Even at the bottom of the sub, I'll actually come up and move over or something, just so every time it does it, I can call up that M97, I can call up that sub, run it a certain amount of times. In the sub, it'll actually come up and move over on its own if it's actual equal distance and stuff. Programming is so awesome because it's your mind and you are dictating the pace. And if the part is inefficient and the part sucks, it probably has to do with you or your inability to get good tooling. But when a program is amazing and the work holding is on point, and most important, you have all variables all working together at a high level. When I say variables, I mean like spindle, work holding, the material, the tooling, the approach, the coolant, rigidity, and all of it. You have to take all of it to the highest level. Anyway, I've talked enough. I was just gonna talk for like 5 minutes and I've gone on and on and on. Sorry about that, but I love it, like just speaking to you guys, giving you guys the knowledge so you guys can take these techniques, you can apply them to your own projects in your own shop, you can make that money, take care of your family, be a pillar in your shops. Boom, manufacturing, baby, let's go.